8 knockouts, 12 submissions, 10 decisions. Just how good is Alexandre Pantoja? Here we have quite possibly the most underappreciated unknown champion in the UFC. Alexandre Pantoja is a proven backpack submission threat and has some seriously underrated brawling ability. A true Giga veteran at 30 pro wins and only 5 losses, he's really fought the who's who of flyweight over the years, and at this point, is making a decent case for flyweight GOAT. And let me just say this, the flyweight division really has come so far over the years. I'm really happy it's gone through as much evolution as it has, because Dana White wanted to scrap this division at one point, and I don't really blame him because it used to be so shit. There weren't many flyweights on the roster, none of them were finishers, there was nobody to challenge Demetrius Johnson, but we really have to thank Henry Cejudo because he low-key saved it from extinction, knocking out TJ Dillashaw. That altered the timeline in our favor, so we gotta give props to Cejudo on that account. And it's now become one of the more high-action divisions in the UFC. You know, now we have dangerous prospects. You know, we have Brandon Moreno, Roy Val, Charles Johnson. It's now in a great place. And Alexandre Pantoja took his licks on the come-up. He has losses to Askar Askarov, Davison Figueiredo, so he's not unbeatable, but he took the hard road. Much like Merab did to the title, these guys weren't fast-tracked. December 6th, we have the Cannibal taking on the Fearless. Joshua Van is challenging for the flyweight title at just 25 years of age. Crazy. And for the people who want to bring up the Charles Johnson KO loss, fall the fuck back before I bring up Alexandre Pantoja arguably losing to Steve Erceg, who arguably lost to Ode Osborne. I can't wait to talk about this matchup at length with you guys because polar opposite styles going at it for the belt here. Van's rise has been such a joy to watch and predict along the way, but Pantoja is no slouch, so we gotta make a video and break him down. It's going to be Unk versus Young Gun, Grappler versus Striker, and 5-rounder flyweight fights always go unfathomably hard. This one goes down in the co-main event just below Merab versus Petr Yan's rematch. It's going to get the crowd on their feet, it's going to be all action, it's going to have me creaming. And go watch my Joshua Van video if you guys want to be brought up to speed on him as a fighter and sort of his origin story. But today we break down the Cannibal. And you know, Pantoja is sort of an NPC, but really genuine, wholesome origin story as well. You know, just a father willing to go to the depths of hell to bring his family a better life. From Uber driver to undisputed flyweight champion, he's also had an incredible evolution along with the division, so all props to Pantoja as well for his rise. And like every father out there, this man just has a switch he can flip and turn into an absolute demon. Zombies forward, walks through everything you have for him, rock solid durability, unbreakable will. But this breakdown comes with a twist. Is Pantoja the real deal? Or did he kinda sneak the title off Brandon Moreno by robbery, and also get a gifted decision in Brazil against Steve Erceg, who is not very elite in my opinion. Sorry guys, sorry bedtime. But I like this. I like that there are questions surrounding the champion. It makes the build-up better. I like when there is sort of an uncertainty about the matchup. Pantoja sometimes dominates, he sometimes doesn't, so. And you know, I used to think Pantoja was like sort of a grappling bum decision guy, but as of recently, he's subbed a few guys, you know, exposed Kaya Sakura, the craziest signing in UFC history, you know, debut title fight. And then Tim Elliott goes out there and does it better, so what am I to take from that title defense? But anyway, it's not like it's the end of the world if he beats Van either. Van is 25 years old, still has many years in the game ahead of him, and I'd like to see Pantoja move up and fight Merab. The two of them have such similar styles, you know, just atrocious striking, closing their eyes and just windmilling punches, but elite level cardio, elite level durability, lots of good grappling on display, so I think that would be an interesting fight. But let's make one thing clear. We are Team Van in this matchup, but I will still give a good faith effort to give a breakdown of Pantoja as best I can. Because look, he's a fun fighter, a good champion who is underrated, wholesome origin story, so nothing but respect to him. December 6th, it's going to be the Cannibal taking on the Fearless. Alexandre Pantoja, a BJJ workhorse who grits through all adversity in pursuit of a grappling victory. Strike accuracy, 50%. I would argue it's lower than half. You know, Pantoja's capabilities on the feet are serviceable. He packs good power for a flyweight, but as for finesse and slickness, nothing to show for it. Strikes landed per minute is 4.3, strikes absorbed per minute is 3.8, takedown average is 2.8. Pantoja has great wrestling, but at flyweight, your average fighter already has the ability to wrestle well, scramble well, because they all have good cardio, they're small, so Pantoja is phenomenal in the backpack position, and almost all his subs on his record are rear naked chokes. His takedown entries are high IQ, and his BJJ deserves serious respect. I just think his submission arsenal is shallower than people realize. Submission average, 0.9, we'll call it 1. Takedown accuracy, 48%. Strike defense, 50%. Takedown defense, only 69%, somewhat irrelevant, he welcomes the ground. Knockdown average of 0.2. I've counted 3 knockdowns total in Pantoja's entire career, so don't get too excited about what this guy has to offer on the feet. He's a good brawler, at best. Other than that, man's got no hands. Average fight time of 12 minutes, 37 seconds. Strengths, BJJ Wizard, endless cardio, wealth of experience. I think Pantoja wins by forcing the slop, really confusing guys with his crazy pressure, navigating to the back and sinking in his sub. He knows flyweights don't have the power to KO him, so it's all gas, no breaks from him from the opening bell. And that system has produced 30 wins for him, so I'm not going to knock it. His fighting style has stood the test of time, and the current run of defending his title keeps on getting better, so all credit to him. Weaknesses, sloppy stand-up, low defense. Pantoja loses by getting hit too much. Plain and simple, you've seen it time and time again, the Moreno fights, the Royval fights, the Urseg fight. He's a BJJ guy who really banks on his durability to march guys down and impose his will. Sometimes that just gets you into trouble. He's lost some decisions, gone to some split decisions, simply because of the amount of punishment he's willing to walk through, and we've seen how close his fights can become when he just doesn't get a submission. Best performance, the Moreno title win. Fight Pass enjoyers, please go give this one a rewatch. It's seriously one of the best flyweight fights of all time. Such a slept-on division still. Fight's on, and Pantoja's plotting gets instantly punished by Moreno's crispy punches, but a crafty knockdown out of nowhere would change the story of this fight. Pantoja would even the score with underrated power in this matchup and power grappling, which would allow him to sneak rounds he otherwise would have probably lost on volume. Round 2 and 3 much the same. Moreno would come out looking like the far superior striker, better boxer, but Pantoja would risk it all, charging into range, making the fight uglier than Rosas Jr. But I still think the judges were swayed by Pantoja getting on the back, because on paper, folks, he still wasn't credited with a single submission in this fight. I mean, that's debatable. He's sort of fishing for rear naked chokes the whole time when he's on the back, but he definitely got a couple extra nods from the judges for all these slimy grappling moments. But I will give credit to Pantoja. His striking is sloppy, but it's a weirdly good sloppy striking. Like, he does leverage it well with his durability, his pressure, his grappling. So honestly, whatever works. It's weird to see a punch magnet as a champion, but Pantoja really excels at it. Flyweight just doesn't have enough punch power to really make him take a backward step. But when we really break this fight down by the stats and take a look at the nitty-gritty, Moreno won, okay? Be mad. Rounds 2, 3, 4, and even 1 minus the knockdown, Brandon Moreno just did pepper Pantoja all fight long. Higher punch count, more accuracy, more damage. I guess the judges valued Pantoja's pressure, power, willingness to grapple more. He opened up a small cut on Moreno, so I guess that swayed it. I don't know, it's just never been a decision that really sat well with me, but I can understand it either way. I just favor Moreno. You could barely hear Pantoja's goated post-fight speech because the whole crowd was just booing him like crazy, but they're all drunk retards for the most part, so who cares? Great performance. Moreno's one of the best boxers in the UFC, so we gotta put some respect on this one. Most fun, his loss to Davison Figueiredo. Flyweight power merchant Davison Figueiredo, in his prime, was able to keep Pantoja at bay with devastating single shots. This fight is a great example of timing, shutting down Pantoja, who is a high-volume slopster. Figgy would just float around the cage and fully commit to perfectly timed single-shot counters that really gave Pantoja problems. It's a really dirty fight where Pantoja just couldn't find grappling success, and he seemed really lost on the feet against a power puncher. And also, Figgy broke his power hand as well on Pantoja's head, and still won round 3 throwing exclusively elbows. Pantoja did make him gas, but Figueiredo was too slick on the feet to ever really be in danger. Pantoja just followed him like a zombie. This was the first time, and only time, we've seen someone really expose Pantoja's lack of defense, and the elbows proved to be a game changer. Pantoja really leverages his chin in these matchups, and likes to zombie forward, so using short-range elbows as a counterattack is just genius. One thing I will mention, Had this been a 5-round main event, Figueiredo absolutely would have gassed out and lost, but he won 2-1 on the scorecards pretty convincingly. Pantoja would have eventually broke his gas tank down though with pressure, so I guess in a way Figgy was lucky that this was only 3 rounds. Upcoming matchup, Joshua the Fearless Van. Joshua motherfucking Van, this guy, when I made the Any Good video on Joshua Van, I had a ton of fun making it because at the time he was still a prospect and we perfectly predicted his stoppage win over Bruno Silva. Van will always have my respect for being as fun and as active as he is because here he is at 25 years old, ready to take on the flyweight champion. And call me crazy, I think he's going to win and become a superstar. It is such a compelling matchup because these two have such opposite fight styles. Pantoja is a backpacking BJJ specialist who likes to power punch and brawl, against Joshua Van Mini Holloway, just an unbelievable volume fighter, pot shotter. We are in for possibly the greatest flyweight fight of all time. There's a reason Dana and the matchmakers said we gotta give this kid a main event. It's because Pantoja has just run through everybody at flyweight, like, who else is there to challenge him really? I think the UFC really fumbled letting go of Muhammad Mokaev. I know he had a few boring decisions and pulled down Manel Kap's pants, but still, I think he was a contender ready to take on the champ. He is elite level. So will Pantoja be able to take Van down? Get to the back, sink in a rear naked choke? It's a possibility, of course, but the path to victory for Van just seems so much simpler. Go out there, have a boxing field day, a striking masterclass all over Pantoja and his atrocious striking defense. Like, I really think Joshua Van can get ahead on volume, but will he be able to avoid being submitted, grapple fucked? That's a whole nother story. We haven't really seen anyone really attempt to run a wrestling clinic on Josh Van yet. My only real concern is Joshua Van's slow start, but they have 5 rounds to work with, which I think heavily favors Van with that Myanmar cardio that he's got, you know, giga volume, crazy cardio, beautiful combinations, only getting better at 25. Still don't think he's reached his ceiling yet. What makes this so interesting is that both of these guys have yet to face the fighting style that each other brings, so it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be competitive. Early lean says Josh Van. I might switch, but we'll fully break it down closer to fight week, and I beg, please, MMA gods, give us Petr Yan and Josh Van as champions. Strikers will bring it back 2026. I promise, guys, I'm coping. We deserve that timeline. We have sat through enough grapplers in the past few years, enough Marab, enough Pantoja, grimy, gritty slime fests. I want knockouts on the world stage again. Is that too much to ask? So please drop your comments down below. Cope with me. As always, thank you guys for watching. Drop your favorite cannibal moment down below.